Tuscany, it's one of those places that looks just as good in real life as it does in movies. During the trip, I visited Florence and San Gimignano. I flew into Pisa and then took a train to Florence, which was pretty easy. At the train station, I took a taxi which took me to the hotel. The driver said I will have to walk 20 meters, was more like 200, but okay. Numbers is not my strong side either. And finally, I found the hotel, and let me show you the inside. It was very traditional and located on the bank of the Arno River. It's a four-star hotel, and the location was pretty good. And even Pablo Picasso stayed here. He had the residence. I think that's a good selling point. The rest of the pack actually had a very early flight and they practically didn't sleep. So when I went to the hotel, they were all having a nap, and I naturally went shopping. I came across this boutique which sparked my curiosity, and the owner, Rolando, introduced me to his creations, and I settled on this one. And here I purchased a bracelet, a gift. I went for the option with the initial, and it was attached on the spot. And here is the final result. And then it was time for the welcome drinks and some snacks before heading out to the restaurant. Once we reached the dining place, everyone went for the famous bistecca alla fiorentina, and I went for the tartar. I really recommend booking in advance because the queue was huge and the portions as well were very generous. The next morning at breakfast, I went for something that had me weirdly excited: coffee yogurt. And here's the thing, I don't actually drink coffee anymore, but I still love coffee flavored things. Anyway, back to town. Tuscany is actually a place which birthed a lot of high-end brands. Gucci, Ferragamo, Pucci, Cavalli, just to mention a few, and all of them come from Florence. Gucci 1921, Ferragamo 1927, Cavalli the 70s, Emilio Pucci 1947. But it's not only fashion and leather goods, also wines and spirits and design. In my opinion, Ferragamo is a great brand, and I've heard from multiple sources that to this day they maintain their exceptional quality. We had a tour guide booked for the morning, and it makes such a huge difference having a guide. She also told me an interesting thing. Apparently, not everyone sells real Italian leather and not necessarily made in Italy. When you're walking around the city and you see stalls on the streets that sell handbags that seem to come from the same wholesale supplier, or you go to some boutiques and they claim to sell things produced in Italy, you can actually ask for a certificate. And if they start dancing around the question, here you have your answer. Now, if you want to venture out, and you absolutely must venture out of the city, you need to do a little bit more planning, either rent a car or transfers, because Tuscany is massive. I mean, deceptively massive, and you really want to have that complete experience. This is the Arno River, and on the right-hand side was the hotel where we stayed. As you can expect, it was pretty crowded, but you can still enjoy the beauty of Florence. And then next, it was time to head to the countryside. There was a transfer booked for us, which really made this trip hassle-free, especially bearing in mind that there were quite a few of us. And we headed to Villa Cappuccina, which is nearby the town called San Gimignano, which is famous for its medieval towers. But let me show you the villa first. The view was spectacular. The rooms were actually basic. This was our first option, but we actually went for another room. It had a better view than this one, but I don't actually have any photos to show you. The hotel has a large territory with some pretty spectacular views, as you can see, and a pool. So here is a bar, and below that is a restaurant. This is the entrance to the hotel and lobby. As you can see, the territory is pretty big. So let me take you inside. And here is the view of the lobby. And finally, San Gimignano. And this spot was actually the beginning and the end of our tour because we found a little restaurant tucked away where we sat, well, not exactly tucked away, but we sat here with this view drinking wine. Some of the girls went to Andrea Bocelli concert, which sounded good, but I didn't go because I saw him elsewhere. But if you do decide to go and it's not part of a package trip, bear in mind it's quite a hassle to get there. San Gimignano is famous for its medieval towers, and back then they were status symbols. And at some point, this race got so ridiculous that the city council had to pass a law. So imagine being told, sorry, darling, your status symbol has reached its height limit. Literally. We were back at the hotel for dinner. We actually chose dinner to be included in our booking. And on the last day, we went to Siena, which is a city, so definitely a different vibe from San Gimignano. Nonetheless, a lovely place. May I be forgiven by the Italians for having pasta for lunch. I actually wanted to go for the burrata, but this was recommended to me by the waiter. We only spent there a few hours because the girls had to go to the Bocelli concert, but I was particularly impressed by one place. I'll try to pronounce it now. It's Basilica Cateriniana San Domenico. I think photography was not allowed inside. For some reason, it touched something inside of me, you know? There was something in the air. And the next day, it was time for me to be in the air, no pun intended.